In exactly 47 seconds, Arya Winterbone's heart would stop beating. The temperature outside the Silver Ridge pack house measured negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill factor pushed it to negative 40. The medical examiner would later confirm she was clinically dead for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. But that's not the remarkable part. The remarkable part is what happened when she woke up. This is her story. The story of how an Omega thrown away like trash became a queen. The story of how one night of cruelty became the turning point that changed an entire kingdom. It begins on the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, December 21st, 8:47 in the evening. Arya Winterbone stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, her fingers wrapped around a crystal champagne flute she hadn't touched. She was 21 years old, small, 5 feet 4 inches in her worn flats. Her dark hair hung loose past her shoulders because she owned no pins or ribbons to style it properly. The dress she wore was grey, second-hand, donated by the Pack Charity Fund 3 winters ago. Around her 300 members of the Silver Ridge Pack celebrated it in silk and velvet. Ice sculptures gleamed under crystal chandeliers. A string quartet played near the fireplace. The scent of roasted venison and mulled wine filled the air. Arya didn't belong here. She knew it. Everyone knew it. She was an Omega, the lowest rank in the pack hierarchy, below the Alphas who led, below the Betas who fought, below even the regular pack members who at least could shift into their wolves and contribute to hunts. Arya couldn't shift, not properly, not like the others. For 21 years, she had tried. For 21 years, her wolf remained locked inside her, dormant, broken. She could feel her sometimes, a faint stirring in her chest, a whisper of presence. But when she tried to shift, nothing happened. No transformation, no fur, no claws, just a painful partial change. Wolf ears that sprouted crooked, claws that emerged brittle and weak. A failure of biology that marked her as defective in a world where your wolf defined your worth. So Arya lived in the shadows. She woke at 4 every morning to tend the herb garden behind the pack house. She mixed healing salves for injured wolves. She changed bandages. She cooked meals for warriors, too proud to thank her. She cleaned the training grounds. She slept in the basement cellar on a cot with a single thin blanket. This was her life. This had always been her life. But 3 years ago, something had changed. Something had given her hope. The memory still burned bright in her mind. She had been 18. A brutal January night. Temperatures below zero. The heating system in the basement had failed. Arya had curled on her cot, shivering so violently her teeth cracked together. Hypothermia had been setting in. Stage 1, then Stage 2. The door had opened, footsteps on the stairs. Alpha Garrett Thornfield had appeared. 22 years old then, newly ascended to leadership after his father's early retirement. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair, eyes the color of storm clouds. Handsome in that sharp, dangerous way that made hearts race. He had carried a wool blanket, thick, heavy, warm. He had draped it over her without a word. Their eyes had met for exactly 3 seconds. Then he left. That blanket had saved her life that night, and it had done something more dangerous. It had made her fall in love with him. For 3 years, Arya had carried that love like a secret candle flame. She had never spoken it aloud. What Omega dared love an Alpha? But the mate bond had formed anyway. Biology didn't care about rank. The bond had snapped into place 6 months ago. She'd felt it, a golden thread connecting her heart to his. She didn't know if he felt it too. He never acknowledged her, never spoke to her, never looked at her in public. But she'd held on to hope. Tonight was the winter solstice ball, the most important night of the pack year. The night when bonds were announced, when mates were claimed, when futures were decided. Arya had dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, Garrett would acknowledge their bond tonight. She'd been wrong. The music stopped. The quartet fell silent. 300 conversations died mid-sentence. Alpha Gareth Thornfield stood at the top of the grand staircase. He wore a black suit tailored to perfection. His hand rested on the small of another woman's back. Isla Ravencroft, beta female, 23 years old, 6 feet tall in her heels. Blonde hair swept into an elegant updo, a red dress that hugged every curve. She was everything Arya wasn't. Strong, beautiful, whole. Garrett raised his champagne glass. His voice carried across the silent ballroom. Thank you all for joining us tonight. As you know, the winter solstice is a time of transition. A time when the old year dies and the new year is born. It's fitting then that tonight I make an important announcement. Arya's heart hammered against her ribs. The champagne flute trembled in her hand. For 6 months, I felt the pull of the mate bond. I've waited to be certain, to be sure. Tonight I am certain. Hope flared in Arya's chest. Painful, bright, impossible to contain. Garrett's eyes swept the room. They landed on her. For exactly 2 seconds. No expression, no recognition, nothing. Then he looked at Isla. He smiled. Isla Ravencroft will be my Luna, my mate, the mother of my heirs. We will formalize the bond under the full moon tomorrow night. The ballroom erupted in applause. Cheers. Congratulations. Arya couldn't breathe. The champagne flute slipped from her fingers. It shattered on the marble floor. Crystal shards scattered across polished stone. The sound cut through the celebration like a gunshot. 300 faces turned toward her. And then it happened. The mate bond didn't just break. It shattered. It imploded. It felt like wet glass rupturing inside her chest, like her ribs were caving in, like her heart was being torn out through her sternum. Arya collapsed. Her knees hit the floor. Both hands clutched at her chest. A scream built in her throat but emerged as only a choked gasp. The pain was indescribable, physical, spiritual. It radiated from her core and spread through every nerve ending. Her vision whited out. Her ears rang. This was rejection, true rejection. The severing of a bond that biology had formed without permission. Through the agony, she heard footsteps, slow, deliberate. Dress shoes on marble. Garrett stood over her. She looked up through tears. He looked down with disgust. Get up. The alpha command rolled through his words. Undeniable. Absolute. Arya tried. Her legs wouldn't support her. She collapsed again. Pathetic. Isla's voice drifted from above. Look at her. Can't even stand. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Not kind laughter. Not sympathetic. Cruel. Mocking. The laughter of a pack that had always known this moment would come. Garrett crouched down, brought his face level with hers. She could smell his cologne. Expensive. Cedar and smoke. You actually thought I'd choose you. His voice was quiet, meant only for her ears. But in the silence of the ballroom, everyone heard. You a broken Omega who can't even shift. You thought you deserved to be Luna. The bond. Arya gasped. Her vocal cords barely worked. I felt it 6 months ago. I felt it snap into place. I felt it too. Garrett's expression was flat, empty. Do you know what I did? I went to the pack shaman. I asked if there was a way to suppress it, to override it. Because the moon goddess made a mistake. She bonded me to a defect. Each word was a blade. Each sentence a wound. Isla is a warrior. She's won 12 combat tournaments. She's led successful hunts. She's fertile, strong and whole. She's everything this pack needs in a Luna. He gestured at Arya with one hand, dismissive, final. You are nothing. You're a burden I've carried for 21 years. A broken thing we fed and housed out of charity. I'm done. The pack is done. Arya tried to speak. Her tongue felt thick, foreign. Please, I have served this pack my whole life. I have healed your wounded. I've tended the gardens. I've never asked for anything except to be seen. Isla interrupted. She descended the stairs, stood beside Garrett. Her smile was sharp, vicious. Except to matter. Well, here's the truth, Arya. You don't. You never did. Garrett nodded to someone in the crowd. Two enforcers stepped forward, Marcus and Thomas. Big men, warriors. Men Arya had cooked stew for just last week. Men whose wounds she'd bandaged. Men who'd smiled at her and called her little healer. They didn't smile now. Their faces were stone. Remove her from packed territory, Garrett's voice carried across the silent ballroom. She is banished, effective immediately. If she sets foot on Silver Ridge land after tonight, she is to be killed on sight. The ballroom gasped. Banishment was rare, reserved for traitors, for criminals, for those who endangered the pack. Arya wasn't any of those things. She was just unwanted. Alpha, please. Her voice broke. There's a blizzard coming. The weather report said -20 degrees tonight. I'll freeze. Then I hope it's quick. Garrett turned his back, reached for Isla's hand. Make sure she leaves immediately. I don't want her suffering to interrupt our celebration. The enforcers grabbed Arya by her arms, lifted her like she weighed nothing. Her feet dangled. Her worn flats fell off, one, then the other. Father, Arya screamed. She could see him in the crowd. Edmund Winterbourne, 52 years old, a low-ranking Gamma. Her father, the man who'd raised her. Father, please don't let them do this. Edmund Winterbourne turned his back, stared at the wall, his shoulders hunched. Mother, Arya's voice cracked. Mother, please. Beatrice Winterbourne clutched a wine glass, stared at the floor. Tears streamed down her face. But she didn't speak, didn't move, didn't defend her daughter. They were choosing the pack over her. They were choosing their pension and their home and their safety over their child's life. The enforcers dragged Arya across the ballroom. Her bare feet scraped against marble. Past faces she'd known her whole life. The baker who'd sometimes slipped her day-old bread. The teacher who'd let her borrow books. The healer who taught her about medicinal herbs. All of them looked away. The oak doors loomed ahead, 10 feet tall, carved with the pack crest. A silver wolf beneath a crescent moon. The doors opened. Arctic air blasted in. Snow swirled. The wind howled like a wounded animal. Wait, Arya gasped. Please, just let me get my coat, my boots, something warm. You own nothing. One of the enforcers spoke. His voice wasn't cruel, just tired. Everything in this house belongs to the pack. You're banished. You leave with what you're wearing. A thin grey dress, no coat, no shoes, no gloves, nothing. They threw her. She flew through the air, 5 feet, 10. Her body hit the stone steps outside, hard. Her shoulder cracked against granite. Pain exploded through her right side. She tumbled, rolled, landed face down in snow. Behind her, the doors slammed shut. The lock clicked, a heavy final sound. The music started up again inside. The celebration continued. Arya pushed herself up on shaking arms. The snow was already soaking through her dress. Her teeth chattered. Her breath came in white plumes that the wind snatched away. She looked at the pack house. Warm golden light spilled from every window. Shadows moved inside. People dancing, eating, laughing. No one looked out. No one checked to see if she was still there. She didn't matter enough for that. Arya stood. Her legs trembled. Her bare feet sank into 4 inches of snow. The cold was immediate, shocking. It burned worse than fire. She could stay here, collapse on the steps, freeze to death on the doorstep of the only home she'd ever known. They'd find her body in the morning, rigid, blue, dead. Or she could walk. Arya looked at the forest. The Dead Ridge Mountains rose in the distance, dark, jagged, forbidden. The space between pack territories. Land too dangerous for any pack to claim. Rogue territory, death territory. If she walked into those mountains, she'd die anyway. Slower, alone, lost. But she'd die on her feet, not on her knees. I won't give them the satisfaction, Arya whispered. Her voice was swallowed by the wind. I won't die where they can see me. She took a step, then another. Her feet left bloody prints in the snow. The cold had already numbed her toes. She couldn't feel her heels. That was good. Pain meant she was still alive. Numbness meant she was dying. But numbness also meant she could keep walking. The pack house lights faded behind her. The forest swallowed her whole. 8:52 in the evening, 4 minutes since the rejection. Arya's core body temperature was 95 degrees Fahrenheit, stage 1 hypothermia. Shivering had begun, violent, uncontrollable. Her muscles contracted so hard they hurt. 9:15, 23 minutes in, core temperature 90 degrees. Stage 2. The shivering stopped. This was dangerous. The body conserving energy, preparing to shut down non-essential systems. Arya stumbled through snow that reached her knees. The thin dress clung to her skin, wet, frozen. A second skin made of ice. Her hair had frozen into stiff ropes. Ice crystals formed on her eyelashes. The Dead Ridge Mountains loomed closer. She had no destination, no plan, just a primal urge to keep moving, to put distance between herself and the people who'd thrown her away. 10:30, 1 hour 38 minutes, core temperature 85 degrees, stage 3 hypothermia, severe, critical. Arya's brain began to malfunction. Hallucinations started. She saw her grandmother, Moira Winterbourne, dead 13 years now, standing between 2 pine trees, smiling, beckoning. Come here, little star. Grandmother Moira's voice drifted on the wind. Come rest. You're so tired. Arya reached for her. Her hand grasped empty air. The vision dissolved. She stumbled, fell, lay face down in the snow for 30 seconds. A full minute. The cold felt warm now. Paradoxical undressing. A symptom of severe hypothermia. Her brain convinced her body that it was overheating, that she needed to remove clothing. Her fingers fumbled with the dress zipper, started to pull it down. No, some distant part of her mind screamed, no, keep it on, you're freezing, you're dying. Arya forced her hand away from the zipper, pushed herself up, kept walking. 11:45, 2 hours 58 minutes, core temperature 82 degrees, critical, fatal range approaching. She no longer knew where she was. The mountains were everywhere. The snow was endless. The wind was the only sound. A constant howl, like the world itself was screaming. Then, through the white chaos, a smell, blood, fresh blood, and something else, gunpowder, acrid, sharp. Arya's head lifted. Her eyes struggled to focus. There, 50 yards ahead, a dark shape against the cliff face, a fissure, a crack in the rock, a cave mouth, shelter. The word pierced through the fog in her mind. Shelter meant survival. Shelter meant living 5 more minutes, maybe 10. She crawled, her knees scraped over frozen stone, her palms split open on jagged ice. Blood left a trail, red on white, a breadcrumb path to her death. 40 yards, 30, 20, 10. The cave entrance yawned before her, 10 feet wide, 8 feet tall, darkness beyond. But darkness meant wind protection. Darkness meant a chance. Arya dragged herself over the threshold. The wind cut off immediately. The silence was shocking, profound. She lay on the stone floor, panting. Each breath rattled in her lungs. She could feel her heartbeat, slow, too slow, irregular. She was dying. She knew it with certainty now. This cave would be her tomb. At least it was quiet. At least she was alone. At least Garrett and Isla and her parents wouldn't get to watch. Then her eyes adjusted to the darkness, and Arya Winterbourne realized she wasn't alone at all. The cave was massive, a cathedral carved from granite, 30 feet high, 50 feet deep, and it was occupied. Wolves, 12 of them, not normal wolves, lycans, true shifters, warrior class, each one easily twice the size of a regular wolf. 300 pounds of muscle and fur and fang. They were scattered across the cave floor like fallen soldiers on a battlefield. All wounded, some unconscious, others panting in shallow labored breaths. Blood pooled beneath them. Dark, thick, too much blood. Arya's brain tried to process what she was seeing. This made no sense. Lycans were apex predators. Unkillable. What could do this to 12 elite warriors? Her eyes tracked the wounds. Bullet holes. Claw marks that went bone deep. Broken limbs. A grey wolf with its back leg twisted at an unnatural angle. A russet wolf with a gash across its flank that exposed muscle and bone. This had been a battle. A massacre. Arya should run. She should drag herself back out into the blizzard and take her chances with hypothermia. Wounded wolves were dangerous, unpredictable. They'd kill her the moment they woke. But she didn't run because her omega biology was screaming at her. Not in fear, in desperate, overwhelming need. These wolves were dying. She was a healer, broken, useless in every other way. But healing was the one thing she could do, the one gift the moon goddess had given her. And dying or not, Arya Winterborn had never walked away from something in pain. Okay, her voice cracked, her vocal cords barely worked. Okay, I can help, I can try. She forced herself to her knees. Her core temperature was 81 degrees now. Hypothermia stage 3, advanced. She had maybe an hour left before cardiac arrest. But an hour was enough. It had to be enough. Arya crawled to the nearest wolf, the russet one. The wound on its flank was the most urgent. Blood still pulsed from the gash. She pressed a freezing hand against the fur. The wolf's skin was burning hot. Fever, infection setting in. She needed bandages, clean cloth, something to bind the wound. She looked down at her dress, thin grey cotton, already torn from her crawl through the forest. It was all she had. Arya grabbed the hem, pulled. The fabric was tough but brittle from the cold. She yanked harder. The dress tore with a sharp ripping sound. She tore off a long strip, then another. Within 5 minutes, the bottom half of her dress was gone. She wore only the bodice now. Her legs were bare, exposed to the cold. But she had bandages. She pressed the first strip against the russet wolf's wound, applied pressure, waited for the bleeding to slow. It took 3 minutes. 3 minutes where her hands went from numb to blue to grey. When the bleeding reduced to a seep, she bound the wound, wrapped the cloth strip around the wolf's torso, tied it tight. The wolf whimpered in its unconscious state but didn't wake. 1 down, 11 to go. Arya moved to the grey wolf with the broken leg. She found a fallen branch near the cave entrance, thick, straight, perfect for a splint. She positioned the branch against the wolf's leg, tore more strips from her dress, bound the splint in place. The wolf's breathing evened out. The pain reduced. 2 down, 10 to go. A white wolf with a head wound. She packed snow against the swelling. The cold would reduce inflammation. It was all she could do without proper medicine. 3 down, 9 to go. 25 minutes passed. Arya worked in a haze. Her hands moved on instinct, muscle memory from years of healing. Her brain could barely form coherent thoughts now. Core temperature 80 degrees, the edge of cardiac arrest. She bandaged, she splinted, she packed wounds with snow. She whispered nonsense words of comfort to unconscious wolves who couldn't hear her. 8 wolves treated, 4 left, including the largest one. Arya's eyes had been avoiding him. The massive black wolf on the raised stone slab in the center of the cave. He lay apart from the others, separated, like a king on a bier. He was the biggest wolf she'd ever seen, easily 400 pounds. His fur was pitch black, utterly lightless. His head was the size of a barrel. His paws could crush a human skull, and he was dying. The wound in his right shoulder pulsed blood with each slow heartbeat. But this wasn't a claw wound. This was a bullet hole, and the bullet was still in there. Arya crawled closer. Every movement was agony now. Her muscles barely responded. Her fingers were black with frostbite. She couldn't feel them anymore. She reached the stone slab, pulled herself up, collapsed next to the black wolf. Up close, she could see more details, scars, dozens of them, old wounds that had healed badly. This wolf had seen war, had survived battles that would have killed anything else. But silver bullets were different. Silver poisoned lichen blood. If that bullet stayed in his shoulder, it would kill him within hours. Arya looked at the wound, then at her hands. She had no tools, no scalpel, no forceps, just her frozen blackened fingers. This was impossible. She couldn't dig a bullet out with her bare hands. The pain would wake him. He'd kill her instantly. But if she didn't try, he'd die. I'm sorry. Arya positioned her fingers over the wound. This is going to hurt. She pressed down. Her fingers sank into hot blood and torn flesh. The wolf's eyes snapped open. Not yellow, not the normal color of wolf eyes. These were molten gold, pure, burning, the color of royalty, the color of alpha bloodlines so old they predated the packs themselves. These weren't the eyes of a rogue wolf hiding in a cave. These were the eyes of something ancient, something powerful, something that could crush her with a thought. The wolf's jaws opened, massive fangs, each one the length of her finger. He could bite her head off, literally. One snap and her skull would be pulp. The jaws snapped shut an inch from her hand. Warning. The message was clear. Pull your hand away or I'll take it off. Arya didn't pull away. She met those golden eyes, held them. I know it hurts, but the silver has to come out or you'll die. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're here. But you saved these other wolves by leading them to shelter. You're a protector, a guardian. The world needs more of those, so I'm going to save you, and you're going to let me. The golden eyes stared at her. She couldn't read the intelligence there, couldn't interpret what he was thinking. Then, slowly, the black wolf laid his head back down on his paws, kept his eyes open, kept them locked on hers. But he didn't snap again. Permission, cautious, conditional, but permission nonetheless. Arya took a shaking breath, pressed her fingers deeper into the wound. The wolf's entire body went rigid. A low growl built in his chest, not directed at her, directed at the pain. Her fingers touched a metal, cold, smooth, the silver bullet. She tried to hook it with one fingernail. It slipped. She tried again, slipped again. Her hands were too numb, too clumsy. The wolf's growl grew louder. His patience was ending. His pain tolerance reaching its limit. Please. Tears froze on her cheeks. Please, just a little longer. I almost have it. One more try. She pressed both fingers on either side of the bullet. Pinched. Pulled. The bullet came free with a wet sucking sound. Fresh blood welled up. Bright red. Healthy. The silver poison purged. Arya held up the bullet, showed it to the wolf, then threw it as hard as she could. It clattered against the far cave wall. Gone. Harmless. She pressed the last strip of her torn dress against the wound. Applied pressure. The bleeding slowed. Stopped. The wolf's accelerated healing was already knitting tissue back together. There. Arya's breath came in gasps. You're going to be okay. You're going to... Her vision whited out. Her core temperature had dropped to 78 degrees. Cardiac arrest was seconds away. Her heart stuttered, skipped a beat, skipped another. She couldn't feel the cold anymore, couldn't feel anything. Just a strange floating sensation, like she was separating from her body. This was it. This was death. Peaceful, quiet, not so bad after all. Arya's body toppled forward. She collapsed against the black wolf's flank. His fur was warm. The warmest thing she'd ever felt, like lying next to a furnace, a living furnace that smelled like cedar and snow and something wild. Her eyes fluttered closed. Her heartbeat slowed. The black wolf lifted his massive head, looked down at the tiny human woman collapsed against him, felt her heartbeat weakening, felt her core temperature plummeting. He should leave her. Should shift, should escape while he had the strength. He was Marcus Blackthorne, Alpha King, ruler of 7 territories. He didn't know this stranger anything, except she'd saved his life. She'd walked into a cave full of apex predators and healed them. She dug a silver bullet out of his shoulder with her bare hands while dying of hypothermia. She'd been brave, selfless, stupid in the most noble way possible. And she was dying right now, this second. Marcus Blackthorne made a decision that would change the fate of kingdoms. He shifted his massive body, slowly, carefully, curled himself around the woman's tiny frame, became a living barrier between her and the cold cave air, pressed his chest against her back, draped his head over her legs, covered every inch of her with his fur. Then he did something an alpha king should never do, something that went against every instinct of dominance and control. He purred low, rhythmic, a sound designed to soothe, to comfort, a sound mother wolves made for injured pups. The purr vibrated through Arya's body, warmed her from the inside. Her heart responded, beat a little stronger, a little steadier. Marcus laid his muzzle against her frozen cheek, licked away the tears that had frozen there, grooming, claiming, a gesture that said mine, not his mate, not yet, possibly never, but under his protection, under his care, his responsibility. Across the cave, the russet wolf lifted his head. Rowan Grey Wolf, the king's beta, his second in command, his closest friend. Rowan stared at his king, the most powerful alpha in living memory, curled protectively around a stranger, purring like a mother cat. Rowan's wolf eyes went wide. Then, slowly, he laid his head back down. A smile crossed his wolf's face. If wolves could smile, this was going to be interesting. 1:27 in the morning, 4 hours and 40 minutes since Arya Winterborn left the Silver Ridge pack house. Her core temperature had dropped to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Her heart rate was 30 beats per minute, half of normal. Her breathing was shallow, 4 breaths per minute. Then, at exactly 1:27 and 13 seconds, her heart stopped. Not a flutter, not a skip, a full stop. Cardiac arrest, clinical death, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. That's how long Arya Winterborn was dead. Marcus Blackthorne felt it the moment her heartbeat ceased, felt the absence, the terrible silence where her pulse should be. He reared up, shifted. The transformation took less than 2 seconds. Wolf to man, fur to skin, 4 legs to 2. He stood 6 feet 5 inches tall, 28 years old, naked, covered in scars. Blood still dripped from the healing wound in his shoulder. His hair was black as his wolf's fur. His eyes remained that molten gold even in human form. He was beautiful in the way a sword is beautiful, deadly, sharp, forged for violence. But right now, in this moment, terror crossed his perfect features. He dropped to his knees beside Arya, pressed 2 fingers to her throat, no pulse, pressed his ear to her chest, no heartbeat. No. Marcus Blackthorne's voice was a command, an alpha order directed at death itself. No, I don't accept this. He tilted her head back, pinched her nose, covered her blue lips with his, breathed. His breath carried heat, wolf heat, the supernatural warmth of a Lycan who could survive in temperatures that would freeze a human solid. He breathed into her dead lungs, once, twice, 3 times. Then, he positioned his hands on her sternum, laced his fingers together, began compressions. 1, 2, 3. He counted aloud. His voice echoed in the cave. 4, 5, 6, 30 compressions, then back to breathing. 2 breaths. Stay. Don't you dare leave. Not after you just got here. 30 more compressions. 2 more breaths. 1 minute. 2, 3. Across the cave the other wolves stirred, woke, shifted. 11 men, all warriors, all elite. They stared at their king, on his knees, performing CPR, on a stranger. None of them spoke. None of them moved. They just watched. 4 minutes. 4 minutes and 17 seconds since her heart stopped. Marcus breathed into her lungs one more time, positioned his hands for another round of compressions. Then, a flutter. Weak, barely there, but a flutter. Her heart beat. Once, beat again, again. Her chest expanded. She drew a gasping, rattling breath. Her eyelids fluttered but didn't open. Marcus sat back on his heels. His hands shook. The AlphaKing's hands never shook, but they shook now. Rowan! The command cut through the silence. Medical kit! Now! Rowan Greywolf shifted. A man of 26, red hair, freckles, built like a brick wall. He grabbed a waterproof bag from near the cave entrance, sprinted to his king's side. Between them they worked. Thermal blankets, chemical heat packs, elevated legs to improve blood flow to her core. They wrapped her like a cocoon, trapped every degree of heat, slowly, gradually. Over the next 30 minutes, her core temperature climbed. 80 degrees, 85, 90, 95. At 97 degrees, her eyes opened. Blue-gray, confused, unfocused. She stared up at the cave ceiling, then at Marcus's face hovering above hers. You're alive. Relief flooded through him. Unprofessional, uncontrolled. He didn't care. Am I? Arya's voice was barely a whisper. Feels like I died. You did. Rowan spoke from behind Marcus. 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Boss brought you back. Arya's eyes tracked to Marcus, really looked at him, took in the scars, the golden eyes, the absolute authority radiating from every line of his body. Who are you? Marcus smiled. It was a rare expression, dangerous, beautiful. Someone who owes you a very large debt. Rest now. We'll talk when dawn comes. Arya's eyes closed. Sleep took her. Real sleep this time. Not death, not hypothermia, just exhaustion. Marcus stayed beside her, monitoring her breathing, her heartbeat, her color slowly returning to something resembling human instead of corpse blue. Dawn broke outside. The blizzard ended. After 11 hours of apocalyptic fury, the storm simply stopped. The sky cleared to brilliant blue. Sunlight poured through the cave entrance. And in the distance, growing louder, the sound of helicopter rotors. Rescue had arrived. The sound of the helicopters grew from a distant thrum to a thunderous roar that shook loose snow from the cave entrance. Arya stirred beneath the thermal blankets. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment she didn't remember where she was, didn't remember the rejection, the blizzard, the cave. Then it all came flooding back. She sat up too quickly. Her vision swam. Strong hands caught her shoulders, steadied her. Easy. Marcus's voice rumbled beside her. Your core temperature only stabilized an hour ago. Your body needs time to recover. Arya turned her head. The man kneeling beside her was real. Not a fever dream. Not a hallucination. 6.5 feet of scarred muscle and golden eyes and barely contained power. Around them, 11 other men were pulling on clothes. Tactical gear, black pants, black shirts, military precision. They moved like soldiers, like a unit that had fought together for years. I don't understand. Arya's throat was raw. Each word hurt. Who are you? What were you doing in this cave? Before Marcus could answer, the cave entrance darkened. 6 men in full combat gear rappelled down from above. They landed in tactical crouches, weapons raised, scanning for threats. Then they saw Marcus. Every single one of them dropped to one knee, fists pressed to their hearts, heads bowed. Your Majesty, the lead soldier's voice carried profound relief. We lost your signal when the storm hit. The entire kingdom has been searching. We thought. His voice cracked. We feared the worst. Your Majesty. The words hung in the cold air. Arya's brain tried to process them. Failed. Tried again. Rowan appeared at her side. He'd pulled on black tactical pants but remained shirtless. The bandage she'd made from her dress was still wrapped around his torso. He crouched down, smiled gently. Let me explain before your head explodes. I'm Rowan Greywolf, Beta of the Royal Guard. That terrifying man who saved your life. He gestured at Marcus. That's Marcus Blackthorn, Alpha King of the Valen hierarchy, ruler of 47 packs across 7 territories. And you just saved his life. The cave spun. Arya's remaining blood drained from her face. Alpha King, the king. She'd dug a silver bullet out of the king with her bare hands. She'd collapsed against him. She'd used his body heat to survive. She was going to be executed for touching royalty. Breathe. Rowan spoke quickly. You're not in trouble. Opposite of trouble, actually. You're a hero. You saved all 12 of us. I don't... Arya's voice failed. She tried again. I don't understand what happened. Why was the king in a cave in the Dead Ridge Mountains? Marcus stood, pulled on a black shirt that one of the soldiers handed him. He moved with lethal grace. Every motion economical, efficient. We were hunting the Crimson Fang, a rebel faction, anti-monarchy terrorists. They've been hiding in these mountains for months. Last night we finally located their camp. We moved in to arrest them. He fastened the shirt. His jaw tightened. They were prepared, waiting. Someone tipped them off. They had silver ammunition, illegal, smuggled from the black market. 20 of us went in. 8 didn't make it out. The 12 of us barely escaped. We found this cave. And then you found us. Arya absorbed this. The wounds made sense now. The bullet holes, the desperation. I'm sorry for your men, for... Don't. Marcus cut her off. He walked to her, knelt again, brought himself to her eye level. You have nothing to apologize for. You saved the lives of the king and 11 royal guards while dying of hypothermia. That's not something people apologize for. That's something kingdoms reward. He studied her face. You're coming with me. Back to Blackstone Citadel. You'll be examined by the royal physician. Fed. Clothed. Protected. You saved my life. By like and law, I owe you a life debt. But beyond the law, I want to understand who you are. How you survived. Why you were alone in a blizzard in the first place. Arya's throat constricted. You don't want me. I'm nobody. I'm a broken Omega who... I'll decide what I want. The interruption wasn't harsh, just final. Can you walk? Arya tried to stand. Her legs gave out immediately. Rowan caught her before she hit the ground. That's a no. Rowan lifted her like she weighed nothing, cradled her against his chest. Don't worry, I've got you. They moved as a unit, the 12 survivors plus the rescue team, out of the cave, into blinding sunlight reflecting off fresh snow. 3 massive black helicopters sat in a clearing 200 yards away. Mate finish. No identifying marks except a gold crest on each tail. A wolf wearing a crown. The royal insignia. Soldiers formed a protective corridor. Marcus walked at the center. Rowan carried Arya directly behind him. The other 10 guards flanked them. Every man scanning for threats. Professional. Lethal. They reached the lead helicopter. Marcus climbed in first. Turned. Reached down for Arya. Rowan transferred her carefully. Marcus's hands closed around her waist. Lifted her into the aircraft like she was made of glass, settled her in a leather seat, fastened a 5-point harness around her. A woman in a white coat was already waiting inside. 42 years old, auburn hair pulled back, sharp green eyes. She carried a medical bag. Your Majesty, thank the goddess you're safe. Then her eyes landed on Arya, narrowed. And who is this? Dr. Evelyn Whitmore. Meet Arya Winterborn. She saved my life. She's hypothermic, frostbitten, possibly in shock. I want a full examination. Blood work, scans, everything. Dr. Whitmore's expression shifted from confusion to intense focus. She knelt in front of Arya, pulled out a thermometer, blood pressure cuff, stethoscope. The helicopter lifted off. The ground fell away. Through the window, Arya watched the dead ridge mountains shrink below them. Somewhere down there was the Silver Ridge Pack. Garrett, Isla, her parents. They thought she was dead. They'd probably already cleared her belongings from the basement, already reassigned her cot to someone else, already forgotten she'd ever existed. Good. Let them think she was dead. Let them move on. She never wanted to see any of them again. Core temperature 97.3. Dr. Whitmore moved efficiently, checking vitals, examining fingers and toes for frostbite. Severe hypothermia resolved. Second degree frostbite on all 10 fingers and 8 toes. You'll lose some tissue, but probably keep all digits. Heart rate elevated but steady. Blood pressure low but acceptable. You should be dead, Miss Winterbourne. What's your secret? Arya's eyes flickered to Marcus. He sat across from her, watching, listening. I didn't want to die where they could see me. Silence fell in the helicopter cabin. Dr. Whitmore's hands paused mid-examination. Rowan, seated beside Marcus, went very still. Who? Marcus's voice was soft, dangerous. Who didn't you want to see you die? Arya shouldn't tell him. She should keep it private. It was pack business, internal, not something you shared with outsiders, especially not the king. But she was so tired, so empty. And the words came anyway. My pack, Silver Ridge. Last night was the winter solstice ball. My alpha rejected me publicly. Announced his mating to someone else. Then he banished me. Threw me out into the storm with no coat, no shoes. Told me if I came back, I'd be killed on sight. She looked out the window, watched clouds stream past. My parents were there. They turned their backs. Let it happen. Everyone I've ever known just watched. Dr. Whitmore's face went white with rage. Rowan's hands clenched into fists. Around the cabin, the other 10 guards all went rigid, violent, barely controlled. Marcus's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the helicopter dropped 5 degrees. Power rolled off him in waves. Your alpha's name, Garrett Thornfield. And the woman he chose instead, Isla Ravencroft. Marcus pulled out a satellite phone, pressed a speed dial number. The call connected immediately. Chancellor Brooks, I need everything on Silver Ridge Pack. Alpha Garrett Thornfield, Beta Isla Ravencroft. Financial records, disciplinary history, border reports, everything. And I want it waiting when we land. He paused, listened. His jaw tightened. One more thing. Send a formal communication to Alpha Thornfield. Tell him the king is aware of his actions last night. Tell him we'll be discussing pack governance in person very soon. Make sure he understands that's not a request. He ended the call, looked at Arya. You're under crown protection now, effective immediately, which means Silver Ridge Pack answers to me for what they did to you, and they will answer. You don't have to. I don't do anything I don't have to do. I do what I choose, and I choose this. The helicopter flight took 2 hours. Arya dozed fitfully. Woke, dozed again. Each time she opened her eyes, Marcus was watching her. Not staring, just aware. Tracking her breathing, her color, her state, guarding her even now. Dr. Whitmore worked steadily. She treated the frostbite, wrapped Arya's fingers in specialized bandages, started an IV, fluids and nutrients, gave her a pain medication that made everything fuzzy and distant. When the helicopter finally descended, Arya looked out the window and stopped breathing. Blackstone Citadel rose from the Rocky Mountains like something from a medieval fantasy. Massive walls of black granite and steel, towers that scraped the clouds, landing pads built into the cliffside, a fortress that had stood for 500 years and would stand 500 more. This was the seat of Lycan power, the heart of the kingdom, home to 5,000 staff and 200 elite guards, and the Alpha who ruled them all. And Arya was arriving in a torn dress and borrowed blankets like a refugee. The helicopter touched down on the primary pad. Before the rotors even stopped, 50 people swarmed the landing zone. Staff, guards, officials. A man in an expensive suit pushed to the front, 60 years old. Silver hair, face lined with authority. He bowed deeply to Marcus. Your Majesty, thank the goddess. The council has been in emergency session since we lost contact. We feared. I'm alive, Councillor Grayson. Marcus climbed out of the helicopter, turned, reached back for Arya. Thanks to her, he lifted her out, set her on her feet. She swayed. He kept one hand on her waist, steadying her. The crowd stared, 50 pairs of eyes locked on the small woman in a shredded dress standing beside their king. This is Arya Winterborn. She saved my life and the lives of 11 royal guards. She's under my personal protection. Anyone who questions that answers to me. Councillor Grayson's eyes flickered over Arya. Assessment, calculation. She could practically see him cataloging her. Omega, no pack sent, injured, insignificant. But he bowed. Miss Winterborn, the kingdom owes you a debt of gratitude. It was a polite dismissal. Thank you for your service. We'll reward you appropriately. Now please leave. Marcus's hand tightened on Arya's waist. She stays. Guest quarters in the Queen's wing. Full medical care. Access to anything she needs. The Queen's wing. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That wing had been sealed since Marcus's mother died 10 years ago. No one went there. No one was allowed. Your Majesty, a woman's voice cut through the murmurs. Cold, sharp. Surely that's not appropriate. A woman stepped forward from the crowd, 32 years old, tall, platinum blonde hair, ice blue eyes. She wore a military uniform with a defense minister insignia. Lady Cordelia Ashford, the king's cousin. The Queen's wing is for family. This woman is a stranger, an Omega from a border pack. She did a good deed certainly, but letting her stay in royal quarters sends the wrong message. Marcus's eyes went flat. And what message would that be, Cordelia? That any Omega who does the crown a favor can expect elevation beyond her station. The temperature dropped again. Several people took a step back. Rowan moved to Marcus's side, ready for violence. Arya Winterborn saved my life. She removed a silver bullet from my shoulder with her bare hands while dying of hypothermia. She is not any Omega, she's a hero. And she stays in the Queen's wing because I said so. Do we have a problem, cousin? Cordelia's jaw tightened, but she bowed. No, Your Majesty, forgive my presumption. Forgiven. Don't let it happen again. Marcus guided Arya forward. The crowd parted like water. They walked through corridors of stone and steel. Tapestries depicting ancient battles. Portraits of past kings. Everything spoke of power, legacy, history. Arya had never felt smaller in her life. They climbed stairs, 3 flights, 4, reached a hallway sealed by massive oak doors. Marcus pressed his palm to a scanner. The doors unlocked with a heavy clunk. Inside, the Queen's wing was beautiful, untouched, frozen in time. Hardwood floors polished to a mirror shine. Walls papered in cream and gold. Furniture covered in white sheets. This was my mother's domain. Marcus spoke quietly. She died when I was 18. Rogue attack. I have kept it sealed since then. But she would have liked you. She always said true strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how much you can endure and still choose kindness. He guided Arya to the main bedroom, pushed open the door. A 4-poster bed dominated the space. Windows overlooked the mountains. A bathroom with a tub the size of a small pool. This is yours, for as long as you need. Dr. Whitmore will be up shortly to continue your examination. If you need anything, pull that cord. He pointed to a velvet rope near the bed. Someone will come immediately. Arya stood in the center of the room, overwhelmed, confused. Why are you doing this? Marcus paused at the door, looked back. Because last night 12 of us were dying in a cave, and a broken Omega walked in and saved us without hesitation, without expecting reward. That's rare. That deserves recognition. and protection. He left. The door closed softly behind him. Arya stood alone, in a room that cost more than her pack house, wearing a shredded dress and bandages. Her entire life had imploded in less than 12 hours. She walked to the window, looked out at the mountains. Somewhere out there, Garrett was celebrating his new mate. Isla was planning her Luna ceremony. Her parents were going about their lives. They had no idea Arya had survived, no idea where she was, what she'd done. Good. Let them wonder. Let them worry if she'd come back for revenge. A knock on the door pulled her from dark thoughts. Dr. Whitmore entered, carrying 2 medical bags and a tablet. Time for your full examination. Strip to your undergarments. Let's see the extent of the damage. Arya obeyed, removed what remained of her dress, stood in only her worn underwear. Dr. Whitmore's expression didn't change, but her eyes hardened. Bruises covered Arya's body. Old ones, yellow and green, faded but visible. Proof of years of casual cruelty. Shoves, pinches, slaps that were dismissed as accidents. How long? 3 years, since Garrett became Alpha. Dr. Whitmore's jaw clenched. She photographed every bruise, every scar, documented everything. Then she pulled out a strange device, a scanner of some kind. This will map your biology, bone density, muscle mass, organ function, but it also scans for something else, wolf presence. She ran the scanner over Arya's chest. A holographic display projected above the device. Colors swirled, data scrolled. Dr. Whitmore froze, stared at the display, looked at Arya, back to the display. Impossible. What's wrong? Your wolf isn't broken. She's not absent. She's not damaged. She's dormant, deliberately suppressed. And according to this scan, she's massive. Arya, you're not a broken omega. You're something else entirely. She pulled out an old leather journal from her bag, flipped through pages, found what she was looking for, showed it to Arya. The page was yellowed with age, handwritten notes in faded ink. At the top a name, Moira Winterbone, Arya's grandmother. Your grandmother was a healer here before she retired to Silver Ridge. 25 years ago, she left this note in your medical file. Look. Arya read the careful script. Arya's wolf is not broken. She is dormant by design, a protection mechanism. Her power would overwhelm a weak alpha. She waits. When the true king appears, when she feels safe, she will wake. Violet eyes mark her destiny. Born once every 500 years, the white wolf returns. Arya's hands shook. I don't understand. What does that mean? It means you might be a true Luna, a violet-eyed wolf of legend. The last one was Queen Isadora. She founded the Valen hierarchy 5 centuries ago. If your grandmother was right, if you truly carry that bloodline, then I'm not broken. Arya's voice cracked. I never was. No, you were never broken. You were just waiting. A sob tore from Arya's throat. 3 years. 3 years of being called defective, worthless, a burden. 3 years of believing she was fundamentally wrong. And it was a lie. All of it. Dr. Whitmore handed her tissues, let her cry. When the tears finally slowed, she spoke again. There's one way to know for certain. Try to shift, here, now, in a safe place, with someone who believes in you. Arya shook her head. I've tried 1,000 times. It never works. I can get ears, claws, that's it. You've tried with weak alphas around you. Garrett, his pack. They suppressed you without knowing it. But right now, the strongest alpha alive is 20 feet away behind that door. If your wolf will wake for anyone, it's him. I can't ask the king. You don't have to ask. I'll ask. Dr. Whitmore walked to the door, opened it, called down the hallway. Your Majesty, I need your assistance. Footsteps. Marcus appeared. He'd changed into clean clothes, black pants, black shirt, but his eyes were the same, molten gold, intense. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, everything's right. But I need you to try something. Come in, please. Marcus entered, saw Arya standing there in her underwear and bandages, turned his back immediately. Tell me when she's decent. Dr. Whitmore grabbed a robe from the bathroom, wrapped it around Arya. Decent. And you can turn around. This is medical. Marcus faced them. What do you need? Release your alpha presence. Full strength. Don't suppress it. Let it fill the room. Understanding crossed Marcus's face. I think her wolf has been waiting for you. For someone strong enough to protect her while she emerges. Someone who won't be intimidated by her power. Marcus's eyes locked on Arya. Is this what you want? I won't force it. Arya thought about Garrett's face, the disgust, the certainty that she was broken, worthless. Yes, I want to know. I need to know. Marcus nodded, closed his eyes, took a breath. Then he let go. The alpha presence that rolled off him was suffocating, overwhelming. It felt like standing next to a star. Heat, power, authority so absolute it could crush a lesser wolf's mind. Arya's knees buckled, but she didn't look away, didn't cower. She met his eyes, and inside her chest something stirred. Not a whisper, not a gentle presence. A roar. Let me out. The voice in her mind was primal, female, furious. 21 years I've waited, 21 years protecting you. Now he is here, the strong one, the worthy one. Let me out. Arya gasped. She's here. She's awake. I can feel her. Then invite her. Marcus spoke softly. Don't force. Invite. Tell her she's safe. Tell her I'm here. Tell her she's been waiting long enough. Arya closed her eyes, spoke in her mind. Come out, please. I'm sorry I kept you locked away. I'm sorry I didn't understand, but he's right. You've waited long enough. Come meet him. The shift began, not painful, not broken. It felt like liberation, like chains shattering, bones reshaped, fur erupted, her spine curved, her hands became paws. Dr. Whitmore scrambled back. Marcus stood perfectly still. Light filled the room, blinding, white as fresh snow. When it faded, Arya was gone. In her place stood a wolf, not small, not weak. She was massive for a female, nearly as large as Marcus's beta. Her fur was pure white, every inch, not a single dark hair, pristine, untouched, and her eyes, violet, deep purple, glowing like amethysts under moonlight. Dr. Whitmore fell to her knees. Tears streamed down her face. The prophecy. It's true. She's a true Luna. Marcus didn't kneel, but he moved slowly, carefully, approached the white wolf, extended one hand. Arya's wolf sniffed his fingers. Then, gently, she pressed her massive head against his palm. The mate bond snapped into place. Not a thread, not a gentle connection. A steel cable, unbreakable, absolute, binding their souls together with a force that made both of them gasp. Marcus's eyes widened. His wolf surged forward, responded, claimed, mine. His wolf growled through his mind. Ours, mate, protect, keep. Arya's wolf rumbled, a sound of agreement, acceptance. They stood there, AlphaKing and true Luna, connected, complete. Then the white wolf shifted back, seamless, controlled. Arya stood human again, naked. The robe had fallen away. This time Marcus didn't turn away. He looked at her, really looked, not with lust, with recognition. You're my mate. The bond just formed. You felt it. Yes, Arya's voice was steady. But you're a king. I'm nobody. This is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And you're not nobody. You're the first true Luna in 500 years. You're my mate. And if you'll have me, you're going to be my queen. He stepped back, gave her space. But that's not a decision you make today. Today you rest, heal, process. Tomorrow we figure out the rest. He left. Dr. Whitmore followed. The door closed. Arya stood alone. Again. But this time she wasn't empty. Her wolf was awake, pacing, content, strong. "We're not broken," Arya whispered. "Never were," her wolf answered. "We were just waiting for him." The next 18 days passed in a blur of transformation and training. Day 1. Arya woke in the enormous bed, disoriented. A staff member named Catherine brought breakfast: eggs, bacon, fresh bread, fruit, enough food for 3 people. "I can't eat all this," Arya protested. "Then eat what you want. The rest stays. His Majesty's orders. You're never to go hungry again." Arya ate until she was full, left half the food untouched. When Catherine returned an hour later to collect the tray, she didn't comment, didn't judge, just smiled and left. Day 2. Dr. Whitmore changed the bandages on Arya's fingers. The frostbite was healing remarkably fast. "Lichen healing," Dr. Whitmore explained. Now that Arya's wolf was awake, her body was repairing itself at an accelerated rate. "You'll keep all your digits, no amputation necessary. You're lucky, lucky." Arya almost laughed. She'd been thrown into a blizzard to die. She'd been dead for over 4 minutes. But yes, lucky. Day 3. Arya found food hidden under her pillow. 3 granola bars and an apple. She didn't remember putting them there. Her omega brain had done it on instinct. Hoarding, preparing for the next time food was scarce. She pulled them out, stared at them, started to cry. A knock. Marcus entered without waiting. He saw the food, saw her tears, understood immediately. He didn't speak, just sat on the edge of the bed, let her cry. When she was done, he took the granola bars, placed them in the nightstand drawer. "Leave them there if it makes you feel safer. But I promise you, you will never be hungry in my house. Never cold. Never alone unless you choose to be." Day 4. The nightmares started. Arya woke screaming. Garrett's face. The door slamming. The cold. Marcus appeared within seconds. He pulled a chair to her bedside. Sat. Didn't try to touch her. Didn't offer platitudes. Just sat, present, solid, real. "Tell me about your grandmother," he said quietly. So Arya talked about Moira, about the herb garden, about the stories, about the night she died protecting 8-year-old Arya from rogues. By the time she finished, the nightmare had faded. She fell asleep with Marcus still sitting there. Guardian, protector, day 5 through 7, the pattern repeated, nightmares. Marcus appearing, stories shared, sometimes about her grandmother, sometimes about his mother, sometimes just silence. By day 8, Arya stopped hoarding food. The nightstand was always full. Her primitive brain finally accepted the truth. She was safe here day 9. Arya stopped flinching when doors closed. She noticed that every door in the Queen's wing had been fitted with soft close hinges. They shut slowly, quietly. No sudden sounds to trigger panic. She mentioned it to Catherine. "Did the king do this?" Catherine smiled. "His Majesty ordered it done the second night you were here, after the first nightmare." Training began on day 10. Lady Margaret Blackwood arrived at 8 in the morning, sharp, severe, 70 years old and terrifying. "Stand up straight, shoulders back, you're slouching like you're trying to disappear." "I am trying to disappear," Arya admitted. "Well, stop. You're the king's mate. You're going to be queen. Queens don't hide. They're seen. Always. Get used to it." For 3 hours, Lady Margaret drilled posture, walking, how to enter a room, how to hold a conversation with someone boring without showing your boredom. Arya was terrible. She stumbled in the heels Lady Margaret insisted she wear. She hunched her shoulders out of habit. She apologized constantly. "Stop apologizing," Lady Margaret snapped on day 11. "You've done nothing wrong. Women apologize too much, especially women who've been told they're worthless. You're not worthless. Act like it." The words hit Arya like a slap. She straightened, lifted her chin, walked across the room without apologizing once. Better. Lady Margaret actually smiled. Much better. Again. Day 12. Combat training began. Rowan Grey Wolf met Arya in the training yard. He wore padding, carried practice weapons. "I'm not here to make you a warrior," he said cheerfully. "I'm here to make sure you can survive long enough to escape if something goes wrong. Block, dodge, run, in that order." They started slow. Rowan taught her how to block a punch, how to twist away from a grab, how to use an attacker's momentum against them. Arya was weak, slow, uncoordinated. She'd never been trained to fight, had never needed to. "That's okay," Rowan encouraged. "You're not competing with warriors. You're learning to survive warriors. Big difference." By day 15, Arya managed to block 3 of Rowan's punches in a row. On day 16, she landed a hit, a jab to his ribs that made him grunt. Rowan grinned, bleeding from a split lip. "There it is, the fighter under the healer. Good." Again. Day 13 through 17. Political Studies with Chancellor Nathaniel Brooks, a quiet man, 50 years old, human, brilliant. "Why do I need to know this?" Arya asked on day 14. "I'm not going to rule anything." Brooks looked at her over his reading glasses. "Aren't you? You're the king's mate. You're a true Luna. Whether you claim the throne or not, you'll influence policy. People will ask your opinion. You should have answers worth hearing." So Arya studied. 47 pacts, 7 territories, trade agreements, treaties, border disputes, laws dating back 5 centuries. She absorbed it all like a sponge. Brooks was impressed. "You read faster than most alphas, and you retain everything. Your grandmother would be proud." Day 16 through 19. Wolf control sessions with Dr. Whitmore. Learning to shift at will, to hold the form, to communicate with her wolf as a partner. "She has a name," Dr. Whitmore said on day 17. "Have you asked her?" Arya closed her eyes, spoke inward. "What do I call you, Luna?" Her wolf answered immediately. "Call me Luna, because that's what we are, what we were always meant to be." By day 20, Arya could shift in under 5 seconds, could hold wolf form for 2 hours, could shift back seamlessly. Control that took most Lycans years to develop. But the most important moments happened in stolen hours. Moments not scheduled, not planned, just moments. Day 12. The library. 2 in the morning. Arya couldn't sleep. Too much information in her head. She wandered downstairs, found Marcus already there, reading reports at a massive oak table. Can't sleep either. Too quiet. I'm not used to quiet. Sit. Tell me something your grandmother taught you. So Arya talked. About herbs. About which healed and which harmed. About the difference between medicine and poison, often being just dosage. About Moira's philosophy that healing wasn't about fixing people. It was about giving them space to fix themselves. Marcus listened, really listened, asked questions, shared stories about his mother, about her strength, her kindness, her death. "You're allowed to be sad," Arya said softly. "Even kings are allowed to hurt." The words hung between them. Precious. True. "No one's ever said that to me before." Marcus finally spoke. "Then they're idiots." He laughed, a real laugh. "Rare. Beautiful. Stay. Keep me company while I work." So Arya stayed. They didn't talk much after that. Just existed in the same space. Comfortable. Easy. Day 18. Dawn. The rooftop. Marcus found Arya watching the sunrise. She'd shifted, her white wolf sitting at the edge of the parapet. He shifted too, his black wolf settling beside her. 2 wolves, king and queen, watching the world wake up. No words, no human thoughts, just presence, partnership, peace. They shifted back as the sun crested the mountains. Marcus's hand found hers. Fingers laced together, sparks danced where they touched. The mate bond humming. "I need to tell you something." Marcus traced circles on her palm with his thumb. In 3 days there's a ceremony, the trial of the Luna, ancient tradition, 3 tests, combat, wisdom, connection to the moon goddess. If you pass, every pack in the kingdom must recognize you as true Luna. Arya's stomach dropped. And if I fail, you won't. But if I do, then we deal with it together. But this is your choice. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. We can announce our bond without the trial. Some will object, some will never accept. But I don't care what they think. You should. You're the king. Your choice of mate affects the entire kingdom. Which is why I'm choosing someone worthy, someone strong, someone who saved 12 lives without hesitation. His grip tightened. But I won't force you into a public trial if you're not ready. Arya thought about Garrett's face, the certainty that she was worthless, the years of being invisible, dismissed, forgotten. I'll do it. Not for them, for me. I need to know I can. Marcus smiled, fierce, proud. Then we train, hard, 3 days. You ready? No, but I'll do it anyway. Day 18, afternoon, the Royal Gardens. Arya walked with 2 guards, Jackson and Callum, both young, both assigned specifically to protect her. She was examining winter roses, their petals frozen but intact, beautiful in their resilience. The shot came without warning, the crack of a rifle, sharp, distant. Jackson's head snapped back. He fell, dead before he hit the ground. Blood spray on white snow. Arya stood frozen, shock, incomprehension. Her brain couldn't process what she was seeing. Down! Callum slammed into her, knocked her behind a stone bench. His body covered hers. A human shield. Second shot. Callum grunted, took the bullet in his shoulder. Silver. The scent was unmistakable. He groaned but held position. Stay down. Don't move. Third shot. Missed. Chipped the stone bench. Shrapnel cut Arya's cheek. Blood. Hot. Real. Inside the castle, Marcus was in the war room, reviewing border reports with Rowan and 3 other advisors. His wolf heard the shots, recognized them. Silver ammunition. Someone was hunting. He didn't think, didn't hesitate, shifted mid-sprint, crashed through a window on the 3rd floor. Glass exploded around him. He didn't care, didn't slow. 200 yards separated the castle from the garden. He covered it in 8 seconds. A black blur, death incarnate. The sniper was in the old guard tower, abandoned for decades. Perfect vantage point. He was reloading, preparing for the kill shot. This Omega had to die. The Crimson Fang had their orders. Kill the king's mate. Destabilize the throne. Create chaos. Marcus hit the tower like a missile. Stone cracked. The entire structure shook. He scaled the wall. Claws tearing through aged mortar. 10 seconds. He reached the top. The sniper turned, raised the rifle. Too slow. Far too slow. Marcus's jaws closed around his throat. Ripped. The man died choking on his own blood, drowning in it. Marcus shifted human, naked, covered in blood. He searched the body, found it. A tattoo on the wrist, red, shaped like a fang. The Crimson Fang symbol. The same rebels who'd ambushed him 3 weeks ago in the mountains. They were still hunting, still trying, and now they were targeting Arya. Marcus's rage was cold, absolute, controlled. He would find every single member, every single one, and he would erase them from existence. But first, Arya. He ran back to the garden, found her kneeling beside Callum, applying pressure to his wound. Her hands were steady, her voice calm. You're okay. You're going to be okay. Just breathe. Jackson was dead. Nothing could change that. But Callum would live because Arya knew how to heal, how to save. Marcus knelt beside her, took over the pressure. I've got him. Are you hurt? No, he saved me. Arya looked at Callum. He covered me, took the bullet meant for me. Marcus's jaw clenched. Rowan medical team now. Within 2 minutes, Dr. Whitmore and 3 nurses arrived. They stabilized Callum, loaded him onto a stretcher. He'd live. He'd recover. Jackson's body was covered with a sheet. He'd died protecting the future queen. He'd have a hero's burial. Full honors. Marcus stood, wrapped a robe someone had brought around his naked body, looked at the assembled guards. This ends now. Tonight. Emergency council meeting. 6 p.m. The council chamber. A long table. 7 seats for the council. Marcus at the head. Arya seated beside him. Rowan standing behind them. The room was tense, electric. Marcus had bathed, changed, but his rage was palpable, barely controlled. 3 weeks ago, the Crimson Fang ambushed my unit, killed 8 royal guards. Today, they attempted to assassinate my mate. This rebellion ends. Tonight, I want proposals. I want solutions. I want action. Councillor Grayson cleared his throat. Your Majesty, we've been tracking the Crimson Fang for months. They're well funded, well organized. They have sympathizers in multiple packs. Rooting them out will take time, resources, careful strategy. I don't have time. Marcus's voice was flat, cold. They tried to kill Arya in my garden, under my protection. That's a declaration of war. Lady Cordelia Ashford stood, the defense minister. Your Majesty, with respect, perhaps the attack was motivated by concern about your choice of mate. Silence, absolute, suffocating. Marcus's eyes locked on Cordelia. Explain, carefully. Cordelia swallowed, but pressed on. Miss Winterbourne is an Omega from a low-ranking pack. She has no political connections, no military experience, no training in governance. Some might see her elevation as inappropriate, as weakening the crown. Some. Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. Who? I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying there are factions within the nobility who believe the king should marry strategically. An alpha female from a high-born family, someone who strengthens alliances, brings resources. Someone like you. Arya spoke for the first time. Her voice cut across the chamber. Clear, strong. Cordelia's jaw tightened. I've served this kingdom faithfully for 10 years. I've bled for it, killed for it. I would be a strong Luna. Yes, but this isn't about me. This is about what's best for the realm. Arya stood, every eye turned to her. You're right, you've served faithfully. You've bled, you've killed. But have you died? Silence. I died 3 weeks ago. For 4 minutes and 17 seconds, my heart didn't beat. I died saving the king's life, saving 12 royal guards. So tell me, Lady Cordelia, what have you died for? Cordelia had no answer. The Crimson Fang didn't attack me because I'm weak. Arya continued. They attacked me because I'm his mate, because our bond threatens their agenda, because a true Luna makes the crown stronger, not weaker, and they're terrified. She looked around the table. If anyone in this room thinks I'm not worthy, say so now. Challenge me, test me, but do it openly, honorably, not through assassins and cowards. Councillor Grayson leaned forward. What are you proposing, Miss Winterbourne? The trial of the Luna, 3 days from now, public, witnessed by all 47 packs. If I pass, the kingdom recognizes me. If I fail, I walk away. No more questions, no more doubt. Marcus turned to her. Arya, you don't have to. Yes, I do. For you, for me, for all of us. She met his eyes. I'm tired of people deciding my worth. Let me prove it, once and for all. Silence. Then, Councillor Grayson nodded. The trial of the Luna. I second the proposal. All in favor. 6 hands rose. Only Cordelia abstained. It's decided. Grayson looked at Arya. 3 days. Sacred grove. May the goddess guide you. The meeting adjourned. As the council filed out, Cordelia approached Arya. I apologize for my words. They were unkind. They were honest, Arya corrected. You said what others were thinking. Thank you for that. It gave me clarity. Cordelia studied her. You're stronger than you look. I have to be. People keep trying to kill me. A ghost of a smile crossed Cordelia's face. If you pass the trial, I'll be the first to kneel. You have my word. And if I fail, then I'll be the first to challenge the king's judgment. Also my word. Honest. Direct. Arya could respect that. Fair enough. The next 72 hours were brutal. Marcus trained Arya personally. Combat drills from dawn until noon. Political scenarios through the afternoon. Wolf control until midnight. He pushed her harder than anyone else dared. Didn't coddle. Didn't soften. Expected excellence. Day 19. Combat. Again. You're telegraphing your moves. Again. Faster. Again. Don't think. React. Arya's body screamed. Her muscles burned. But she kept going. Blocked. Dodged. Struck. On the 100th repetition, she finally landed a clean hit. Marcus smiled. Good. Now do it 99 more times. Day 20. Politics. Marcus threw scenarios at her rapid fire. Two packs are fighting over water rights. Both threaten war. You have 10 seconds. Decide. Shared access. Alternate seasons. Build infrastructure. Next. An alpha challenges your authority publicly. 10 seconds. Ask why. Address the concern. If he persists, demonstrate power without violence. Next. But you discover corruption in a high-ranking official. 10 seconds. Investigate. Gather evidence. Public trial. Equal justice. Next. Brooks watched from the corner. Impressed. She's faster than you, Your Majesty. I know, Marcus said, pride in his voice. She's brilliant. Day 21. Wolf control. Shift. Hold it. Shift back. Again. Faster. Again. You need to be able to shift mid-fight, during chaos, while exhausted. Again. By midnight, Arya could shift in 3 seconds, could hold multiple shifts in rapid succession. Her control was absolute. Marcus finally called a halt. Enough, you're ready. Arya collapsed on the training room floor, panting, soaked in sweat. I don't feel ready. Marcus sat beside her. No one ever does. That's the secret. You just show up anyway. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her face. Tomorrow changes everything. After tomorrow, you're either queen or you're free. Either way, I'm proud of you. What if I fail? Then I'll still love you. We'll figure out the rest. Love. He'd said it. Simple, direct, true. Arya looked at him, this man who'd saved her, protected her, believed in her. I love you too. They sat there, on the training room floor, exhausted, bloody, happy. Tomorrow would bring tests, challenges, judgment. But tonight they had this moment, and it was enough. Day 22. Dawn broke cold and clear over Sacred Grove. Arya stood in her chambers, dressed in clothes that felt like armor, black pants, black shirt, boots that didn't hurt. Her hair was pulled back in a practical braid. No jewelry, no decoration, just her. A knock. Marcus entered. He wore formal attire, black suit, the royal insignia on his chest. He looked like every inch the king he was. Then he saw her, and his expression softened. Ready? No, yes, maybe. Arya laughed nervously. I don't know. Good answer. Overconfidence gets you killed. Healthy fear keeps you sharp. He offered his arm. Let's go prove them all wrong. The convoy was massive. 3 armored vehicles, 30 guards, a 2-hour drive north through winding mountain roads. Arya watched the landscape roll past. Snow-covered peaks, frozen lakes, endless forest. Marcus sat beside her. His hand found hers, held tight. Remember, you already survived death. You walked through a blizzard and lived. You shifted for the first time at 21. You're stronger than you know. And if anything goes wrong, I'm 20 feet away. Always. They arrived at Sacred Grove at 4:47 in the afternoon. Winter days were short. The sun was already descending toward the horizon. Sacred Grove was a natural amphitheater carved into the mountainside. Stone seating rose in concentric circles. At the center, a flat arena, 50 yards across, packed dirt floor. 1,000 wolves filled the seats, representatives from all 47 packs, alphas, betas, elders, all come to witness, all come to judge. Arya stepped out of the vehicle. The crowd noise hit like a physical wave. Murmurs, whispers, speculation. Is that her? She's so small. I heard she's an Omega. This is a mistake. The king's gone soft. Marcus's hand pressed against the small of her back, steadied her. Ignore them. They don't matter. Only you matter. Only this moment. Based walked to the center of the arena. Councillor Grayson stood there, flanked by 6 other council members. Your Majesty, Miss Winterbourne, welcome. The trial of the Luna will now commence. 3 tests: combat, wisdom, connection. Pass all 3 and the kingdom recognizes you as true Luna. Fail even one and the bond remains private. Do you understand? I understand. Arya's voice carried across the arena, stronger than she felt. Then we begin. Test 1. Trial by combat. Grayson gestured to the opposite side of the arena. Your opponent will be chosen by the council. A figure stepped forward, tall, athletic, platinum blonde hair, pulled into a high ponytail. Lady Cordelia Ashford. Arya's heart sank. This wasn't random. This was calculated. Cordelia had volunteered. This was her challenge, her test of Arya's worthiness. Marcus's jaw clenched. This is improper. Cordelia holds a grudge. The council has chosen. Does Lady Cordelia accept the responsibility of facing a true Luna candidate in honorable combat? I do. Cordelia's smile was sharp, professional. I'll try not to hurt her too badly. Marcus turned to Arya, cupped her face. Listen to me. Cordelia is fast, strong, experienced, but she's arrogant. And arrogance creates openings. Survive the first 2 minutes. Let her think she's winning. Then shift. Your wolf is bigger, stronger, faster. Use that. She'll kill me before I can shift. No, she won't. Because I'll stop this fight before that happens. I promise. Trust me. Trust yourself. You've got this. He stepped back, left the arena, took a seat in the front row. His eyes never left her. Rowan sat beside him. 10 other royal guards flanked them, all tense, all ready to intervene if this went wrong. Cordelia stripped off her jacket, rolled her shoulders. Nothing personal, little Omega, just proving a point. The king needs a real Luna, not a charity case. Arya didn't respond, didn't rise to the bait. She shifted her stance, feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, hands up, defensive posture. A bell rang, sharp, clear. The fight began. Cordelia moved like lightning, closed the distance in 2 strides, threw a punch. Arya blocked, barely. The impact jarred her entire arm. Second punch, third, fourth. Arya blocked, dodged, backpedaled, not attacking, just surviving. Cordelia was too fast, too skilled. Fight back! Someone yelled from the crowd. Laughter rippled through the seats. Cordelia swept Arya's legs. Arya hit the ground. Hard. Dust exploded. Her shoulder screamed. The same shoulder she'd injured on the pack house steps 3 weeks ago. Cordelia didn't give her time to recover. Kicked. Arya rolled. The boot missed her ribs by inches. Scrambled to her feet. 1 minute gone. 1 more to survive. Cordelia shifted mid-lunge. Her wolf was massive. Brown fur, yellow eyes, fangs bared. She leaped. Arya dove aside. Claws raked her back. 3 lines. Shallow but bleeding. The crowd roared. Excited. Bloodthirsty. This was entertainment to them. Arya's vision blurred. Pain, fear, exhaustion. She couldn't win this. Couldn't survive. Get up! Luna's voice roared in her mind. Get up now! Let me out! We end this! Arya's eyes locked on Marcus. He was half out of his seat, vibrating with the need to intervene. But he held back, because she'd asked him to, because he trusted her. She couldn't let him down. Cordelia circled, preparing for the kill strike. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. Wrong. Arya's eyes flashed violet. I'm everything you were afraid I'd be. The shift hit like an explosion. White light filled the arena, blinding, searing. When it cleared, the white wolf stood, massive, beautiful, terrifying. Violet eyes glowing like twin stars. The crowd went silent, completely. 1,000 wolves, not a sound, not a breath. Then, an elder in the front row dropped to his knees. The white wolf, the prophecy, it's real. Others followed, kneeling, bowing, submitting to something older than memory, older than the packs, older than the kingdom itself. Cordelia froze. Her wolf brain screamed at her to submit, to roll over, to expose her throat. This wasn't just an alpha. This was a true Luna, a queen, a force of nature made flesh. But pride overrode instinct. Cordelia snarled, lunged. Arya didn't move, didn't dodge. She met Cordelia mid-leap, caught her by the throat, slammed her into the ground with earth-shaking force. One move, 1 second, fight over. Arya's white wolf stood over Cordelia's brown one, jaws around her throat, not biting, not killing, just holding, proving dominance. Then Arya threw her head back and howled. The sound was impossible to describe. Music and thunder, sorrow and joy. It resonated in the bones of every wolf present, a compelled submission at a cellular level. Cordelia's wolf went limp, belly up, total surrender. She whimpered, a sound of submission, apology, recognition. Arya released her, stepped back, shifted to human in a seamless flow. She stood naked for 3 seconds before Marcus was there, his jacket around her shoulders, his body between her and the crowd. Test 1 passed decisively. Any objections? Silence. Then, slowly. Applause. It started with Rowan, spread to the royal guards, then to the crowd. Within 30 seconds, 1,000 wolves were cheering, stamping feet, howling approval. Cordelia shifted back, human, naked, bleeding. She knelt in the dirt. Forgive me, I didn't understand. I didn't believe. But I felt your aura. You are true Luna. I submit. I was wrong. Arya looked down at the woman who tried to kill her, wanted to hate her, couldn't. Cordelia had been testing, protecting the kingdom the only way she knew how. You're forgiven. Rise. No more kneeling. Cordelia stood, bowed, left the arena with her head high, beaten but not broken, respectful. Councillor Grayson stepped forward. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes showed respect. Test 2. Wisdom. A challenge has been brought before the council. 2 packs, North March and South Ridge. They dispute water rights to the Clearwater River. North March claims historical precedent. South Ridge claims current need. Both threaten war. How do you resolve this? Arya closed her eyes. Thought. She'd studied this exact case with Brooks. The river belongs to neither pack. It belongs to the land, to the goddess, to all creatures who need it. I propose shared access. North March controls water rights, spring and summer when their fields need irrigation. South Ridge controls fall and winter when their herds need drinking water. Build a dam at the midpoint. Each pack gets a reservoir. Both survive. Neither wins, neither loses. The river continues to flow. Grayson's eyebrows rose. And if they reject this solution, then they're choosing pride over survival. And the crown will cut off trade to both until they accept. We don't have time for ego. Winter is coming. Water is life. Figure it out or face consequences. Silence. Then Grayson smiled. Actually smiled. Solomon himself would approve. Test 2. Passed. More applause. Louder this time. Even some of the skeptics who were convinced. Test 3. Connection to the moon goddess. The oldest test. The truest test. Follow me. He led them to a temple at the edge of the grove. Ancient stone, carved with symbols predating language. At the center of the temple floor sat a boulder. Perfectly round, 3 feet across. It glowed faintly silver in the fading light. The moonstone, touched by the goddess herself 5,000 years ago. It responds to those with true connection. Luna blood, royal blood, touch it. Let us see if the goddess recognizes you. Arya approached the stone. Her hand trembled. This was it, the final test. If the stone rejected her, everything was over. She pressed her palm against the stone. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Arya's heart sank. She'd failed. The prophecy was wrong. She was just... The stone exploded with light. Violet light. Blinding. Searing. It shot up in a column that pierced the sky, visible for miles. A beacon, announcing something that hadn't happened in 5 centuries. The true Luna had returned. Symbols carved into the temple walls began to glow. Ancient script, forgotten language, but somehow Arya could read it, understood it. When winter's cruelest night steals breath, and hope the white wolf shall return. She who died and lived shall unite the broken. Her violet eyes shall see what others cannot. She comes when the kingdom faces its greatest darkness. She is the shield, the sword, the storm. She is Luna reborn. The light faded. Arya stumbled back. Marcus caught her, held her tight. All 3 tests passed. Grayson's voice shook with emotion. By the laws of our ancestors, by the will of the goddess, I present to you Arya Winterborn, true Luna, mate to the AlphaKing, queen of the Valen hierarchy. The crowd erupted, not polite applause, wild celebration, howls, cheers, foot stamping that shook the earth. Marcus turned Arya to face him. His golden eyes blazed with pride, with possession, with love. Mine, yours, Arya answered. But Marcus, there's something I need to do before I can move forward, before I can be queen. Name it. Silveridge, Garrett, Isla, my parents. I need to face them. I need them to see what they threw away. I need justice. Marcus finished. His smile was dangerous, beautiful. Then justice you'll have. Tomorrow, we go to Silveridge together. And they answer for what they did. Day 23, 10:47 in the morning. 3 black helicopters descended on Silveridge Pack territory. The pack had received notification 30 minutes prior. A terse radio transmission from the Royal Guard. AlphaKing Marcus Blackthorne arriving in 15 minutes. All pack members present yourselves in submission posture on the training grounds. Failure to comply will be considered an act of rebellion. Garrett Thornfield stood on the mansion steps, sweating despite the cold. His hands shook. He'd ordered his best suit, combed his hair, tried to look like an alpha who deserved respect, but he was terrified. The king didn't visit border packs. Ever. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. Beside him, Isla Ravencroft fidgeted with her hair. 3 weeks married. The Luna ceremony had been beautiful. Everything she dreamed. But Garrett had been distant. Distracted. Guilty. It's probably nothing. Isla didn't believe it. Maybe he's just checking on border security. The king doesn't check on border security personally. Garrett snapped. Something's happened. Something to do with... He cut himself off. But they both knew what he meant. Something to do with Arya, the Omega they'd thrown away 3 weeks ago. The one who'd walked into a blizzard and never come back. They'd searched, found nothing, assumed dead. Garrett had nightmares about her frozen corpse buried in snow. About those last words, that last look on her face. Terror, betrayal, heartbreak. He shook his head, pushed the guilt away. He'd made the right choice. Isla was strong, capable, perfect. Arya had been a burden, a mistake. Her death was unfortunate but necessary. He almost believed it. The helicopters landed, rotors whipping snow and dead grass into cyclones. The doors opened. Royal guards poured out, 30 of them, armed, armored, forming a corridor. Then, Marcus Blackthorne emerged, 6.5 feet of lethal grace, golden eyes scanning the assembled pack like a predator counting prey. 400 wolves knelt in the mud, foreheads pressed to frozen earth, submitting before he even spoke. Garrett bowed, deep, respectful. Your Majesty, this is an unexpected honor. Welcome to. Marcus walked past him, didn't glance, didn't acknowledge, treated him like furniture. The dismissal was devastating, humiliating. 400 pack members watched their alpha being ignored by the king. Marcus stopped, turned back to the helicopter, extended his hand. Careful, my queen, the drop is steep. A small hand took his. A woman stepped out. She wore black, form-fitting pants, leather jacket, boots that added 2 inches to her height. Her dark hair was loose, shining, healthy. Her skin glowed. Her posture was straight, confident, and when she looked up, her eyes flashed violet. Garrett's world stopped. His brain refused to process what he was seeing, refused to believe. Arya, he choked. His voice cracked. But you're dead. You walked into the storm. You saw me walk away. You assumed dead. You were wrong. She stepped onto the grass, every step deliberate, measured. She'd learned how to walk like a queen, how to command attention without demanding it. The crowd stirred, whispers, gasps, confusion. That's the cellar girl. What's she doing with the king? Why is she dressed like that? Her eyes. Look at her eyes. Isla grabbed Garrett's arm, hard enough to bruise. That's impossible. She was Omega. Broken. She couldn't. I was never broken. I was dormant, waiting for someone strong enough to wake me. She looked at Garrett, held his gaze, violet eyes to storm gray. I was waiting for a real alpha, not you. Marcus moved to Arya's side. His hand rested on the small of her back, possessive, protective. Let me tell you a story. 3 weeks ago, my royal guard was ambushed. We barely escaped. 12 of us, bleeding out in a cave, left to die. He paused. Let the words sink in. Then this woman walked in, hypothermic, dying. She should have run, should have saved herself. Instead, she saved us. All 12. She removed a silver bullet from my shoulder with her bare hands. She used her body to keep me warm. She was clinically dead for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Garrett's face went white. Isla's grip loosened, fell away. While you threw her into a blizzard to die, she was saving your king. While you celebrated your new mate, she was bleeding in the snow. While you slept warm, she was keeping me alive. The crowd was silent, horrified. Every wolf present understood what this meant. Their alpha had banished someone under crown protection, had condemned a hero, had sentenced a true Luna to death. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is what you did before that. The years of abuse, the basement, the starvation, the mockery, every bruise on her body, every scar. We documented it all. Dr. Whitmore stepped forward, held up a tablet. Medical evidence. 3 years of systematic abuse. Photographs. Testimony. Undeniable. Garrett's legs gave out. He sat hard on the steps. This was it. This was the end. The king had evidence, had witnesses, had grounds for execution. I was doing what was best for the pack. She was a burden, couldn't shift, couldn't contribute. I had to choose. You had to choose kindness. Arya interrupted. You had to choose decency. You had to choose humanity. You failed. On every level, you failed. She walked toward him. Slow, each step measured. Garrett couldn't move, couldn't look away. Her violet eyes pinned him in place. 3 years, 3 years, you convinced me I was worthless. broken, unlovable. I believed you. I believed I deserved the basement, the hunger, the cold. I believed I was nothing. She stopped 2 feet away. Then I met him, gestured at Marcus, and in 3 weeks, he showed me what you could never understand. I was never the problem. You were. Garrett looked up at her, saw the woman she'd become, saw the power radiating from her, saw what he'd thrown away. The bond between us. It's not fully severed. The ceremony was never completed. You're still technically my mate. You're still... Watch. She took a breath, let her power rise, let her aura fill the space. The true Luna presence that forced submission, that commanded obedience at a molecular level. Every wolf on the training ground felt it. 400 wolves, all of them dropped, not kneeling, prostrate, foreheads in mud, unable to resist, unable to do anything but submit. I, Arya Winterborn, reject you, Alpha Garrett Thornfield of the Silver Ridge Pack. Thunder cracked, lightning forked across a clear sky. The mate bond didn't break. It detonated. A spiritual explosion that made Garrett scream. He collapsed, writhed, clutched his chest where the bond had been anchored. It felt like his heart was being ripped out, like his soul was tearing in half. This was true rejection, complete, irreversible, final. I reject your name. I reject your pack. I reject your memory. From this moment, I owe you nothing. You are nothing. You are less than nothing. She turned her back, the ultimate dismissal, walked back to Marcus. Garrett lay gasping on the steps. The pain was unbearable, unthinkable. Losing a true Luna mate was a death sentence for most wolves. The bond loss drove them insane. And Garrett felt it happening, felt his mind cracking, felt the wolf inside him snarling, raging, broken. His vision tunneled, reality fragmented. The wolf took over. Madness descended like a black curtain. He shifted. Brown wolf, foaming at the mouth, eyes wild, completely insane. He didn't lunge at Marcus. Even mad, even broken, some survival instinct recognized that was suicide. He lunged at Arya. If he couldn't have her, no one could. If she wouldn't be his, she wouldn't exist. Mine! His wolf roared, airborne, claws extended, jaws wide, going for her throat. He never reached her. A black shadow moved faster than thought, faster than possible. Marcus shifted mid-leap, intercepted Garrett mid-air, caught him by the throat. They hit the ground together. Marcus on top, dominant position, alpha over alpha. 3 seconds. That's all it took. Marcus positioned his jaws. Garrett's eyes widened. Recognition, regret. Too late. Marcus ripped Garrett's throat out. One motion, clean, efficient. The killing blow of an apex predator who'd done this 1,000 times. Garrett's body went limp. Blood pooled, stained the frozen earth. His eyes were still open, still aware, watching his own death. Then, nothing. Gone. Marcus stood over the corpse, his black wolf magnificent, terrifying. He turned to face the assembled pack, opened his jaws and roared. The sound shook the mountains, established dominance, announced ownership. This pack was under his jurisdiction now, under his protection, under his law. The message was clear. Touch her and die. Threaten her and die. Even think about harming her and die. Every wolf present understood, bowed lower, submitted harder. Marcus shifted back, human, naked, covered in blood. He walked to Arya, studied her face. Are you all right? Yes, thank you. Always. He kissed her forehead, then turned to face the crowd. Rowan. The robe. Rowan tossed a black robe. Marcus caught it, wrapped it around himself. Looked like a king, even covered in his enemy's blood. Silver Ridge Pack is now under Crown jurisdiction. Effective immediately, Rowan Grey Wolf will serve as interim alpha until a suitable replacement is chosen. Any objections? Silence. No one was stupid enough to object. Good. Marcus's eyes scanned the crowd, landed on Isla. She knelt 20 feet away, tears streaming down her face, makeup ruined. Isla Ravencroft, step forward. Isla stood on shaking legs, walked forward, fell to her knees in front of Arya. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You thought I was nothing. You thought being cruel was free, that there were no consequences. You were wrong. Arya looked down at the woman who tormented her for 3 years, wanted to hate her. But looking at Isla now, she just saw a broken person. Someone who thought power came from stepping on others. I won't kill you. Death is too easy. You love status, power, respect. So I'm taking it all. She reached down, ripped the beta insignia from Isla's jacket. You are stripped of rank. You are Omega now, the lowest, the forgotten. You'll clean the floors Garrett walked on. You'll wash the clothes of the pups. You'll serve everyone you once commanded. Isla sobbed. No, please, anything but. And every single morning you'll look in the mirror and you'll remember you chose cruelty when you could have chosen kindness. This is what cruelty costs. Guards dragged Isla away, still sobbing, still begging. Arya watched her go, felt nothing, no satisfaction, no regret, just empty closure. There's more, Marcus spoke quietly. Your parents, they're here. Do you want to face them? Arya looked across the training ground, saw Edmund and Beatrice Winterbourne, her father, her mother, kneeling in the mud with everyone else. They looked old, worn, guilty. Yes, bring them. Guards escorted her parents forward. They knelt at Arya's feet, both crying, both shaking. Arya! Edmund's voice broke. Sweetheart, we're so sorry. We didn't know. You thought I'd die quietly. You thought you could trade me for comfort, for safety, for your pension. We were scared. Garrett threatened us. We had no choice. You always have a choice. You chose wrong. She looked at them. These people who'd raised her, who'd fed her, who'd taught her to walk, to read, to be kind, who'd then turned their backs when she needed them most. I used to dream you'd save me. Even dying in that cave, I thought, Father will come. Mother won't let me freeze. I believed in you until the very end. We're sorry, so sorry. Please, give us another chance. We're your parents. We love you. You love yourselves more. Arya's voice hardened. And that's fine. I understand. Survival is powerful. Self-preservation is real. So I won't punish you. I won't take your home, your pension, your life. Relief flooded their faces. Thank you, sweetheart. But you have no daughter. Arya Winterbourne died in that blizzard. The girl who loved you, who needed you, who believed in you. She's gone. I'm someone else now. Someone you don't know, don't deserve to know. She stepped back, put distance between them, physical and emotional. If you ever contact me, I'll have you arrested. If you claim relation to the crown, I'll have you exiled. If you speak my name to the press, I'll let the king decide your fate. Stay here, live quietly, grow old, die. But leave me out of it. Arya, no. Beatrice reached for her. You can't. You're our baby, our little girl. I was, past tense, not anymore. Goodbye, Edmund. Goodbye, Beatrice. This is the last time we speak. She turned, walked away. Her parents' cries faded behind her. She didn't look back, didn't pause, just kept walking until she reached Marcus. He wrapped his arms around her, held her while she broke, while 3 weeks of control shattered, while she finally let herself feel everything. Grief, rage, relief, freedom. She cried into his chest. He held her, said nothing, just held her while the pack watched, while justice was served, while the Omega they'd thrown away showed them exactly what they'd lost. When the tears stopped, Arya pulled back, wiped her face. I'm ready to go home now. Where's home? Arya looked up at him, at this man who'd saved her, protected her, believed in her when no one else did. Wherever you are, he smiled, kissed her. In front of 400 witnesses, claimed her publicly, irrevocably. Then, let's go home, my queen. They left, helicopters lifting off, leaving Silver Ridge Pack to pick up the pieces, to bury their dead Alpha, to adjust to their new reality. The cellar girl was gone. The Omega they'd broken and discarded had vanished. In her place stood a queen, a true Luna, a woman who'd walked through death and come out stronger. 3 months passed like a dream. Silver Ridge Pack thrived under Rowan's leadership. Fair, just, strong. The pack members who'd watched Arya suffer now sent gifts to the castle, letters of apology. She didn't respond, didn't need to. They were her past, not her future. Isla scrubbed floors every day. Her hands were raw. Her pride was dust. She never complained, never begged. Just worked, endured, learned what it meant to be powerless. Edmund and Beatrice Winterbourne lived quietly in their small cottage. The pension continued. The house remained theirs, but they had no daughter. They'd see Arya's face in newspapers, on broadcasts. The queen, the true Luna, the one they'd abandoned. They lived with that regret every day. It would follow them to their graves. And Arya became something more than she'd ever imagined. The coronation was set for the winter solstice, exactly 3 months after the night she should have died. Poetic, intentional. A rebirth on the anniversary of her death, December 21st, 6 in the evening. Blackstone Citadel was ablaze with light, 10,000 candles, torches lining every wall. The great hall filled with representatives from all 47 packs, dignitaries from human governments, witnesses to history. Arya stood in the queen's chambers, looking at herself in the mirror. She wore white, pure white silk that shimmered like moonlight. The dress was backless, showed the scars on her shoulders, the marks from that night. She didn't hide them. They were part of her story. Dr. Whitmore adjusted the dress. You look like a goddess. I feel like I'm about to throw up. That's normal. Every queen feels that way before coronation. Even Queen Isadora. I read her journals. A knock. Marcus entered. He wore black, formal, the royal sash across his chest, gold on black. But his eyes, those golden eyes, they softened when they saw her. Ready? No, yes, I don't know. He smiled, crossed to her, took her hands. You saved my life. You passed the trial. You faced your past and won. If you can do all that, you can wear a crown. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Then you learn, you grow, you try again. That's what queens do. They don't start perfect. They become perfect through living. And you won't be alone. I'll be right there, always. The great hall fell silent when they entered. Every eye turned, every breath held. Arya walked down the aisle, Marcus at her side, step by step, steady, sure. At the altar stood Councillor Grayson. He held a crown, the crown of the winter moon, obsidian and white gold, set with diamonds and violet amethysts, ancient, worn by only 3 queens in 5 centuries, now 4. Arya Winterbourne, Grayson's voice carried across the hall. Do you swear to protect the 7 territories, to serve the packs with wisdom and strength, to uphold the laws of the moon goddess? I swear. But do you swear to be shield and sword, to defend the weak, to challenge the strong, to lead with compassion and rule with justice? I swear. Then, by the power vested in me by the council, by the packs, and by the goddess herself, I crown you. He placed the crown on her head, heavy, grounding, perfect. Arya Blackthorn, true Luna, queen of the Valen hierarchy. The hall erupted, not polite applause. Thunder, foot stomping, howls, 10,000 voices raised in celebration. Marcus took her hand, led her to the balcony. The doors opened. Below, the capital city spread out. 50,000 wolves filled the streets, holding candles, waiting. "Long live the king!" they roared. "Long live Queen Arya!" Arya looked out at them. All these lives, all this responsibility. It should have been terrifying. It wasn't. It was right. "Wave," Marcus murmured. "They need to see you." Arya raised her hand, waved. The crowd roared louder. She smiled. Real, genuine, free. Marcus's hand found hers, squeezed. "How does it feel?" Arya looked up at him, at the man who'd saved her, who'd believed in her, who'd loved her when she couldn't love herself. "Like I'm finally home." The storm was over, the nightmare had ended, and the reign of the White Wolf had truly begun. They told Arya Winterborn she was worthless, that she was broken, that she deserved to die in the snow like garbage. They were wrong about everything. She wasn't worthless, she was priceless, she wasn't broken, she was waiting. And she didn't die that night. She was reborn. Gareth Thornfield thought he was discarding trash when he threw her into that blizzard. He was actually handing a queen to a king. His cruelty became her catalyst. His rejection became her liberation. His fatal mistake became her glorious destiny. The lesson. Your value isn't determined by who throws you away. It's revealed by who picks you up when you're at your lowest. It's proven by what you do when everyone tells you you're nothing. Sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the greatest transformation. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. Sometimes you have to die to truly live. Arya Winterborn walked into a blizzard at 21 years old. A broken Omega, a forgotten girl, a victim of cruelty. She walked out 3 weeks later as a queen, a true Luna, a woman who'd survived death itself and emerged stronger than anyone imagined possible. The White Wolf had returned after 500 years, and the kingdom would never be the same. Gareth died in the dirt he'd thrown Arya into. Ela scrubbed the floors she'd once walked proudly upon. Edmund and Beatrice lived with the ghost of the daughter they'd abandoned. All of them learned the same lesson too late. Cruelty has consequences. Kindness has power. And wolves always remember. Arya Blackthorn reigned for 53 years. She transformed the kingdom, protected the weak, challenged injustice, healed divisions. Her violet eyes became a symbol of hope for every Omega who'd ever been told they were worthless. And every winter solstice, she stood on that same balcony, looked out at her kingdom, and remembered the girl who'd frozen in the snow. That girl had died. But the queen she became changed the world. If you enjoyed this story of survival, justice, and transformation, hit that like button. Subscribe for more tales where the underdog rises and the cruel fall. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by people who can't see it. Because wolves remember. Wolves repay debts. And the White Wolf's legacy will echo through generations. Thank you for watching. Until next time.